Godzilla King of the Monsters is directed by Michael Dougherty, written by Zach Shields and Michael Dougherty, from a screen story by Shields, Dougherty, and Max Borenson. It is based on the Toho characters Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah, and stars the cast of Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, her first film debuted, Bradley Whitford, Sally Hawkins, Charles Dance, Thomas Middleditch, Asia Hines, O'Shea Jackson Jr., David Strathairn, Ken Watanabe, and Z. Zane. This is a sequel to the Gareth Edwards 2014 film, the 35th movie in the overall franchise, the third film in this MonsterVerse created by Warner Bros. And Legendary, and the third film to be made completely by Hollywood Studio. And in this movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters, it takes place 5 years after Godzilla 2014, and we follow the organization of Monarch as they are in charge of making sure that all the monsters are where they are, especially Godzilla. But also at the same time, the world is very split on Godzilla and the other monsters. Some of them are against or with wanting to coexist with the monsters, and the other side is against it and fearing that the planet will basically die and humanity will go extinct if the monsters continue to live on Earth. So we follow this family that has been tragically affected by Godzilla, called the Russells, who basically comprises of Mark, Madison, and Emma, and they have had personal loss with the death of their son. And so there's this device called the Orca, which is a machine that enables communication with the Titans, but can also potentially control them using their biacoustics on a sonar level. However, there is a mysterious organization that kidnaps Emma and her daughter, Madison, and the organization that wants to use the device to reawaken another monster codenamed Monster Zero, who is basically King Ghidorah. And the three-headed monster and Godzilla's nemesis, basically King Ghidorah is reawakened and he starts wreaking hell on Earth. But Godzilla's not going to tolerate it. So when that happens, both sides of Monarch and the world realizes that they need to come together and use Godzilla to stop Ghidorah before he destroys all life on Earth completely. Then comes along Rodan, the fiery volcano monster, and then the queen of the monsters herself, Mothra, who also collides with Ghidorah and Godzilla, and they all fight for survival and supremacy and for who will come out on top while humanity is in the middle of it all trying to survive. Now, going into Godzilla King of the Monsters, I was actually excited for the sequel because it looked and sounded like a fun monster movie, and it was continuing the new interpretation of Godzilla in this MonsterVerse. And I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan just yet, but I still have a long way to go. But this is sort of my little history breakdown with Godzilla. The very first Godzilla movie that I ever saw was back in elementary school, and that was the 1998 Roland Emmerich TriStar Pictures remake back on VHS during TCAP testing when I was in elementary school, and I actually own a DVD copy of it here. And I remember loving it back then, but then as I grew older and out of elementary school, as my love and passion for movies and film genre in general grew, I started to hate the movie. And for the longest time, it was the worst Godzilla movie. Until recently. And it made me never want to see another Godzilla movie again. From any of the eras. Whether it was Showa, Heisei, or Millennium. But then I recently got it on DVD. The 1998 movie on DVD again. And it's not as bad as I remember it being. But it still has amounts of problems. First saw the Gareth Edwards film, and I remember wanting to see it when it first came out back in 2014, but I didn't get around to it. So I saw it on cable back in 2014, and I still really love it. I thought it was a great Godzilla film. It was a great take on Godzilla. I like what Gareth Edwards wanted to do. It does have serious human problems, but what they needed to get right, they got it right. And the original Godzilla from 1954 is a classic and one of my favorite movies ever. King Kong vs. Godzilla was really awesome, but I can't wait to see how Legendary is going to pull it off next year. Mothra vs. Godzilla is also really fun to watch. I love Shin Godzilla from 2016, and the anime Godzilla trilogy, which consists of Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, City on the Edge of Battle, and the Planet Eater. I just do not care for those movies. Those movies are bad. And as far as monster movies go, I love monster movies. King Kong is my favorite movie monster, and Godzilla would be second best. But anyways, I'm not getting ahead of myself here. When I first heard that there was going to be a sequel, I was excited. And the director, cast, and story, I was excited to see how it would play out. Then the trailers came around, and I absolutely love all the trailers for this movie, and they seemed to knew what kind of movie that they were going to be marketing for monster movie and Godzilla fanatics. From the Comic-Con trailer, which I reacted to on my channel, and it was really awesome, and then the other trailers just got better and better and better. And then the TV spots were really entertaining as well. And then the entire poster campaign surrounding the look of the film was really cool. And basically, so the way Avengers Endgame was a cinematic event as far as superhero movies goes, this movie was monster movie cinematic event for me and other monster movie Godzilla fans. And it was supposed to come out last year, but it got delayed to this year. Then the early reactions first seemed overwhelmingly positive, but then the critics came in and said it wasn't good, there's no character development, no story, no humans to latch onto, and then the Rotten Tomatoes score had me a little worried. But honestly, I don't really understand what the critics are saying here. This is a very fun monster movie. Now, it's definitely not without its issues. And I will get into those. For the pros of this movie, I gotta say the biggest praise I can give to this movie is the monster action in all of its full glory. The monster action is all around awesome. If you were someone who did not enjoy Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, you're going to be very happy because Godzilla is in this movie a lot more. Not as much as you would expect him to be, but he is in it enough. And he has a lot more to do in this movie from start to finish. And when he is on the screen, he is awesome. And the action sequences with the monsters in the military are really fun to watch too. The only sort of issue I do have with those action sequences, however, is that sometimes it zooms in a little too much, and I don't mind the focus of the human beings in the monster action through their point of view. I don't mind that. I understand that whole criticism, because Godzilla, this is a character that was not created back in 2010s. He was created way back. Way back. So you do have to take into the account that most of the Godzilla movies are not going to have the greatest humans, but I didn't really care because the monster action was still really great. Even now, the sound design for the monsters, each of the monsters has a great sound design. You could tell that they really wanted to put the god back into Godzilla. And you do get the 2014 roar mixed with the 1954 roar, and the sound effects for Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah is really awesome. And the many scenes with the monster action were really fun, and the battle scenes were pretty good. Rodan's attack with the Monarch military was the standout sequence, and when he goes off is pretty awesome. Because when I saw it in the trailers, I'm like, okay, he's just gonna go off. But no, when he shows up, he is not playing around. And another standout action sequence is the final battle, the final climax with the battle in Boston. I really enjoyed that part of the movie with the Monarch helping Godzilla was pretty awesome. And the entire time the sequence played out, I was just sitting there looking pretty excited, and that's how I was with every single action scene going on here. And this does come into play with some very fun special effects and the great musical score. As far as the acting goes, the acting is pretty strong. You have a good cast. Kyle Chandler was really great as the main character. Vera Farmiga, she was great as a character, but my only issue with Vera Farmiga is that I really hated her character. And they made her so unlikable. It's not until the end of the movie where something happens to her, where she kind of redeems herself. Millie Bobby Brown is also really great as well for her first film debut, and she did a great job in this movie as well as Madison. She shows a lot of emotion. She does a great job for the most part. And I like the little connection they give to Mothra, her and Mothra. I thought that was really cool. The rest of the cast is pretty good as well. O'Shea Jackson Jr. was really great. Sally Hawkins was great again for her little screen time. Thomas Middleditch, Bradley Whitford, Ken Watanabe. All the cast is good. The cast is good. And I gotta say, it was great seeing Ken Watanabe and Z Zhang in the movie again after Memoirs of a Geisha. And this movie follows the good pattern where you have Japanese actors in each of these three movies. Ken Watanabe in this movie in 2014, Jean Tian in Kong Skull Island, and now Z Zhang, which that's always pretty cool to see. Also, I gotta say, the direction by Michael Dougherty is very well done. You can tell that he is a big Godzilla fan. You can tell that he really adores Godzilla and everything, and he really cares about these monsters. And he did a great job not screwing up either of the monsters, because his direction is pretty visceral, pretty entertaining. It's a lot of fun to watch. There are some moments of cheesiness there, but with Godzilla that is to be expected, because when you go into a Godzilla movie you are going to get some kind of cheesy moments into them, so I didn't really mind that part. And the music by Bear McCreary, this guy knows what he was doing. He redid the Godzilla theme, which really his rendition of Mothra's song was really great. This entire musical score was just really great. Now, this and Alan Silvestri's score for Avengers Endgame, and so is the score for Jordan Peele's Us. These are my top 3 serious Oscar contenders for Best Original Score. And so this score is just really great, and the choirs and the orchestra and all the drums. You could tell that Bear McCreary, he wanted to make a good Godzilla score, and it fits really well. I actually got a chance to listen to the soundtrack before I saw the movie, so that was pretty awesome to see. And I also gotta say, the way this movie looks is really well done. Lawrence Sher, the cinematography and the visual aesthetics also are really great. Here I got praise that, and this is why I feel like the cinematography in this movie deserves at least some kind of award, because the cinematography here is really beautiful and it's very well done, especially in a lot of shots. The underwater Godzilla home, Mothra spreading her wings, especially the entire Battle of Boston. As far as the fan service goes, there is a lot of fan service, so if you're not a fan of fan service, you're not gonna like most of the fan service here. I really like the fan service, especially with Ken Watanabe's character. They gave him a lot more to do, and it's a lot more like the homage to Sarazar from the original films, and that was really good. I really thought that was very well handled on Michael Dougherty's part, and I gotta tell you, that was very well done. And the last positive I do want to give is that even though this is his own film, I do appreciate that this is his own movie. You do have some setup for Godzilla vs. Kong, which is to be expected, but for the most part, this movie, it treats itself like it's its own film in the Godzilla franchise. And I gotta say, it really did its job pretty well, at least in my opinion. If I have any issues with Godzilla King of the Monsters, I will have to agree that the humans are not that great. And I gotta say, the human characters, they're very weak and one-dimensional, and they're pretty bland. But I didn't really care too much about that because you don't come to a Godzilla movie for the humans. You come to watch it for Godzilla fighting off his classic monsters like Ghidorah. So, and I feel like the human aspect, it was not as strong as it should have been. But I forgive that, and I feel like that could be fixed in Godzilla vs. Kong next year. So that's one of the issues I do have with the movie. Also, I think the villain is very generic. The human villain, not Ghidorah. He's cool. He's cool. I'm talking about Charles Dance. Charles Dance, he's a great actor. I think he's really great in this movie. I just feel like there was not much to his villain character. He's kind of just there just to be an intimidating villain, just for his Vera Farmiga to do the villainous things. And I feel like he could have been fixed up a bit. Also, I did say one of the issues, yes, Vera Farmiga, she is great in this movie, but there are times where I just did not like this character at all, especially the idea of her wanting to wake up these monsters. I'm like, why would you want to wake up all these monsters? Because you don't like what's going on in your world today, or because you lost a child. Yeah, I know I'm giving away a spoiler, but this movie has been out since May, and it comes out on Blu-ray next week. So, yeah, I gotta tell you, I did not like that part. And also, some of the writing is not really isn't not the strongest. Now, there are moments where it is well written, it is well done. Especially the story and the three main characters getting fleshed out with Sarazar. I thought those four core characters got as much to do. When it comes to the other characters, you don't really get much to them. Especially some of the newer characters. And I feel like that was a little bit of a waste of opportunity there, but again, it's a Godzilla movie. You don't come for characters. And also, the movie does take a while to get going. This is 2 hours and 11 minutes long, but when it gets going, it does get going. The monster action gets you invested, and I don't mind cutting back to the humans, because the humans are there to drive these Godzilla movies along to get you ready for the next fight. So if you have a problem with that, you obviously have not seen a Godzilla movie in your life. I haven't seen all of his Godzilla's movies just yet, but I'm getting there. That's the whole point of this Road to Godzilla vs. Kong review series I'm doing. Is that. Overall, I think Godzilla King of the Monsters is a fun time. I think this is one of the most underrated movies of this year. It definitely has its issues, but it's not horrible. It's not as bad as some of the bad movies I've had to sit through, like After and Hellboy and even Captive State, even The Intruder. It's not that bad of movies. And this is my favorite of the MonsterVerse so far. And this is probably one of my favorite Godzilla movies. Once I get through seeing all the other Godzilla movies, I'll do my top 10 best and my top 10 worst Godzilla movies. So, when it gets to that point, yeah. But all in all, I have fun with Godzilla King of the Monsters. It has some great, beautiful cinematography, good performances, fun action, and more monsters. And that's all you can expect from a Godzilla movie, is a fun monster movie. If you are a fan of this MonsterVerse, I think you'll like this movie. If you're not, or if you're not a fan of Godzilla or monster movies in general, you will not like this movie. But at the end of the day, I would still suggest you watch this movie and form your own opinion. I'm going to go ahead and give Godzilla King of the Monsters an Epictastic. So, that was my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's good to be back doing these Road to Godzilla vs. Kong reviews. The next couple Godzilla reviews will be for Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, Godzilla the Planet Eater, the Roland Emmerich Godzilla, and then the Gareth Edwards 2014 Godzilla, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, that was my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. Let me know in the comments down below what did you think of it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you in between? What is your favorite Godzilla movie ever? Who is your favorite monster? And what is your favorite movie in this MonsterVerse so far? Be sure to follow my social media links down below. You guys keep it cool and join the Epictasticness.